Hello and welcome to my second album review. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Final Frontier by Iron Maiden. You can see the reflection of the iPod in the CD case. Yeah, iPod. You can tell it's not a high-tech, expensive camera. It's an iPod. Hopefully someday. Final Frontier, 2010, Iron Maiden. That's my second album review and my name's Prog Rock Anarchy, and I still haven't reviewed a prog rock album. The reason I reviewed Stolen Moments is by John Hyatt, my first album, is because it was the first album I ever loved. Iron Maiden are my all-time favourite band, and so I thought, okay, I'll review the first album I ever loved, and then I'll review an album of my favourite band, then I'll get into the prog. And I will review more Iron Maiden albums, and probably more John Hyatt albums as time goes on. But today I'm going to review Iron Maiden, and no matter what, the third album I review will definitely be a prog rock one, so don't worry about that. But it's debatable whether Iron Maiden are progressive. Depends on your definition of progressive. I would say they are quite progressive. Not 100% full-on progressive like King Crimson or Vandergraaf, but I'd say they're a lot more progressive than a lot of bands that are considered progressive. Like, there's a band called Car Mechanic. The reason I look there because that's where my CD collection is. Car Mechanic, prog rock band, Swedish prog rock band. Karma, the word karma, then Canic. The best part about that band is their name. Pretty clever name. And they pretty much sound the exact same as the Flower Kings. I bought one of their albums, never having listened to them. You know, just like, well, they're prog rock, I'm not going to dislike it, sort of thing. And I bought it, and it's pretty much the exact same as the Flower Kings. I really don't see what's progressive about it. But the definition of prog, most people seem to think it's time signatures and long songs, when to me, prog rock is really about experimenting and moving forward. So if you're not actually experimenting or trying anything new, then I really don't see what's progressive about it. Iron Maiden, in my opinion, have always wanted to change their style. They've always moved on. They've always kept moving forward musically. So I'd consider Iron Maiden a progressive band. It's up to you what you think. But anyway, I'm going to quickly talk about the album art because it's an Iron Maiden album review. Can't talk about Iron Maiden albums without talking about the great covers. I love this cover. I don't have it on vinyl. I used to have a really big poster though. I wish I still had it. It's because, you know, you get sick of looking at the same posters over and over again. Except for that one. I don't think I would get sick of that one. But yeah, if I had the poster, I'd be like, it's Iron Maiden, Final Frontier, holding it up. Don't have it on vinyl. Only got it on CD. Released in 2010. I remember when the album came out. It was released August 2010, I think. I would have been 13, just about almost 14 when the album came out. And I had no idea. I was watching the music channels, Scuzz or Kerrang, when I actually used to watch it. Now Kerrang's all just pop punk stuff, and Scuzz is all screamo shit. Sorry if you like that stuff, but I don't watch the music channels anymore. Used to be good stuff on it. And the Final Frontier came on, the music video. And I was like, oh, Iron Maiden. I really like Iron Maiden. They're like my favourite band. But I've never heard this song before, because at that point, I hadn't heard all their albums. I was only 13. I'd only heard about 5 of their albums. A Matter of Life and Death, and a few of the 80s ones, and No Prayer for the Dying. That was pretty much it. I think Fear of the Dark as well. Then I saw this on the TV, and I looked it up, and it was their new album. I was like, wow, they've released a new album, so I bought it, and I listened to it, and now I'm going to talk about it. It starts off with Satellite 15, The Final Frontier, which was added to the confusion because the music video only it's a sort of a 2-part 8-minute track, 8 minutes and 40 seconds according to the track list. 2 parts. Satellite 15 is like the first half of the song. Well, actually, I call it the introduction. It's like the intro to the song, even though it actually takes up more than half of the song. And then the second half of the song is The Final Frontier. That added to the confusion because when I put the CD in, I was expecting it to be heavy from the start, but then you get this really long intro. And I didn't really like it at the time. Back then I thought, oh, it should be split into 2 different tracks. There should be 11 tracks on the album altogether. But now I'm so used to it, and I'm so... Basically, I would no longer listen to The Final Frontier on its own. I used to actually skip to like the 4.5 minute mark. Now I would never do that. I actually really like the intro. I call it the intro. It's not an intro. It's half a song. It's its own song in a way. But it's good. It's got the opening half of the song is really heavy. There's really heavy bass going on, like da 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 da. There's really heavy drums going. It's full force Iron Maiden, and then you get a pause, and then do do do, and then it starts, and it gives me chills. Gives me chills. Second song on the album, El Dorado, 6 minutes and 49 seconds, is the only single from the album, I think. Catchy riff. One thing you'll instantly notice is the catchy riff. Starts off with that sort of the fill of music. I don't really know what you call it, when all the instruments are going da 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 da. A lot of Iron Maiden songs end like that. The Final Frontier ends like that, and then El Dorado starts like it. You know what I mean? Iron Maiden, a lot of songs end with all the instruments going da 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 da. Maybe because they don't know how else to end the song. Iron Maiden either tend to end the song slowly, which I think's when they're at their best, or they tend to just sort of go do 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 like that. Both fine, but I like the sort of slow endings and the slow openings. The longer songs are the better ones in my opinion, and we'll get to that. El Dorado, I think the lyrics were written by Bruce Dickinson, and I think it's about the recession and how certain people have used it to their own advantage financially. And one thing I like about Iron Maiden is that I think Bruce and Steve write all the lyrics. I know for a fact they write lyrics. I don't know if any of the other band members write the lyrics for any of their songs, but I know they do. Like I said, one thing you'll instantly notice is the catchy riff. Bruce's singing's really good on it. And then we get into track 3, Mother of Mercy, 5 minutes and 20 seconds, which, in my opinion, is one of the 2 weakest ones on the album. The other one I'll obviously talk about when I get to it. It's the mandatory anti-war song on the album, which I have no problem with. I like that every Iron Maiden album has at least one anti-war song, because I'm very anti-war. And each one often tends to talk about a different aspect. A lot of them talk about similar things, but in different ways. So, for example, in Mother of Mercy, talking about how soldier feels like he joined the war because he thought it was a noble cause, but then, now he's there, he's killed people, he's starting to have second thoughts. Don't know what war it is specifically. Another thing about each Iron Maiden song about war, it seems to be talking about a specific war. Like Afraid to Shoot Strangers is about the Gulf War, I think. I don't know why they chose the Gulf War. Maybe they're just trying to keep it fresh, talking about different wars as the albums go on. But I think it's probably one of the weakest ones on the album. I think Bruce's singing's a wee bit waily in the chorus. One thing I would say about the Final Frontier is that Bruce's voice comes and goes a wee bit, one or two of the songs, and that made me worry back in the day, because I thought, oh no, he's getting old. He was about 56 or so now. His voice is starting to go, and that's fine. It happens with age. But 5 years later, the Book of Souls came out, and his voice sounds fantastic throughout the whole album. His voice sounds way better in the Book of Souls than it does in the Final Frontier. So I don't know what it was about the Final Frontier. Maybe when they recorded it, he had a cold. I don't know. Track 4, Coming Home, 5 minutes 52 seconds. One of the most popular ones on the album. They probably could have made this one a single. It appears on the Greatest Hits album, the best of 1990 to 2010, From Fear to Eternity. Coming Home. It's got a very ballady feel to it, but not in a bad way. It's slow, it's melodic, it never gets too heavy. Even the guitar solo is quite ballady, quite, sort of 80s, sort of reminds me of like the 80s ballad metal a wee bit. Those sort of songs you get back then, which I'm not a big fan of the music, but Iron Maiden, when they did it with this album, they were really trying something new with Coming Home. I don't think they'd ever quite done a song like that. The lyrics are really good. It's just a really melodic, nice wee song, and it's unique for them to do a song like that. Track 5, The Alchemist, which is probably the other weakest one, along with Mother of Mercy. I can't quite decide which one I like the least. It's the only song on the album that's shorter than 5 minutes. It's 4.5 minutes. It just sort of comes and goes. It's a bit too fast. It's fast paced. It's fast from start to finish, and it's sort of over before you can think, if you know what I mean. In my opinion, if you listen to the album straight through for the first time, it's definitely not the most memorable one. One of the reasons is because it is so short and there's so many longish ones, quite long songs on the album. Not much to say about it. It's just not one of my favourites. Track 6 is the Isle of Avalon, and in my opinion, this is when the album really starts getting good. It's an instant. The album is split right in two halves, in my opinion. Not lengthwise. The second half of the album is a lot longer because there's 10 songs on it, and if you split it 1 to 5 and 6 to 10, it's a lot longer the second half because the songs are longer. I do prefer the longer Iron Maiden songs. The Isle of Avalon, for me, is when the album really starts getting going. My favourite part of the song is the instrumental sort of bit in the middle, the part that's in 7/8. I've always loved it, and then at one point, about a year ago, I started to learn time signatures and I started to learn how to count them. And then earlier on this year, I was listening to Isle of Avalon and I was counting that part, and it's in 7/8, and I was like, wow. You know, I've always loved that part. I had no idea that it was in a complex time signature. It's so good, that part. The part that goes do 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 do, that part. The lyrics are good. It's got a slow build. It's just a brilliant song. Really underrated. Nobody seems to talk about the Isle of Avalon. It's actually one of the lowest rated ones on the album, and I think it's really, really good. 9 minutes and 6 seconds. It's one of the longer ones on the album. Really, really good. Big, powerful grand finale. Fantastic song. And again, that 9/8 section, no, 7/8, sorry, that 7/8 section is one of my all-time favourite Iron Maiden little bits of music. It only lasts about a minute or a minute and a half, and you've got a guitar solo into it as well, really good guitar solo, and it's the 7/8, it's the bass line that carries it. Track 7, Starblind. This is the one where I'd say Bruce's voice wavers a wee bit. It's a good song. I'd say it's the worst song. It's 7 minutes 48 seconds. I'd say it's the worst song on the second half of the album. I'd say it's probably better than most of the songs on the first half, but it's probably the worst song on the second half of the album. It's quite sad. It's got a sad sort of emotional feel to it, and it's got a good riff that's sort of. It's almost got a sort of. I wouldn't really know how to describe it. You know what the verses? If you've heard the album, you know what the verses are sort of like. It's heavy going. It's emotional. It's a really, really good song. It's just, I'd say it's one of the weaker ones on the second half. Not much to say about it other than that. Number 8 is The Talisman, which to me is a song on the album that sounds the most like A Matter of Life and Death. And one of the songs on A Matter of Life and Death. 9 minutes and 3 seconds. Acoustic guitar opening. Slow, eerie, you know, classic modern Iron Maiden, if you know what I mean. Wee bit Genesis like. Steve Harris has said he really loves Genesis and early Genesis, and it does have a early Genesis sort of slow build to it, and songs like Musical Box a wee bit. Yeah, talking about prog. This is what I mean. You listen to songs like The Isle of Avalon and The Talisman, and then you say Iron Maiden aren't prog. I don't get it. To me, they are very much a progressive band. It's Talisman. I do prefer Isle of Avalon. Most people tend to prefer The Talisman. I've seen a sort of, since it's the Isle of Avalon and The Talisman are the two 9-minute ones, I sort of compare them quite a lot, and I do prefer The Talisman, Isle of Avalon. Talisman paints a really good picture. It's definitely about a crew on a ship and a talisman. I don't know much about it other than that, I'm sorry. Paints a picture. A wee bit like The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, a song about a boat. Which of course was a poem first. Good song, not as good as Isle of Avalon in my opinion. Now we've got the last two songs. Track 9, The Man Who Would Be King, 8.5 minutes. Brilliant penultimate track. It's It's got brilliant riffs, it's got brilliant lyrics, it's got a slow melodic ending, it's got everything. The Man Who Would Be King. I really love during the verses you get a bit of singing with the sort of fast paced, and it goes da 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 da. Those are sort of wee brilliant interludes between the lyrics. And then, like I said, the ending is fantastic, really melodic, really beautiful, and it leads perfectly into the final song on the album, the 11-minute When the Wind Blows, which was my favourite song of all time for about 7 years. And it's 7 years since the album came out. It was actually only this year that it stopped being my favourite song of all time. I'd say Empire of the Clouds is probably my favourite song now. When the Wind Blows is definitely in my top 5 probably. It's so good. It used to make me cry, this song. It's so emotional, so powerful. It's hard to describe. As soon as I heard it for the first time, I mean, I was listening to the album straight through. I remember listening to the album straight through for the first time, thinking, "Alright, that one's the best song." And no, that one's the best song. Like, the Isle of Avalon came on, and I thought, "That's the best one so far." Then The Man Who Would Be King came on. No, that one's the best one so far. And then when the Wind Blows, it's just like, no, none of the other songs stand a chance. It is also the highest rated song on the album, so it's not just me. The lyrics are based on a book. I think it's a book. It was also adapted into a movie called When the Wind Blows, which was about a nuclear fallout and a couple an elderly couple who were not quite as prepared for it as they should have been, or as they thought they were. And I think Roger Waters did the music for it, the movie, the wee cartoon movie that came out in like the 80s or something. But this is sort of a twist on it, in that it doesn't actually turn out to be a nuclear war, it just turns out to be an earthquake. But everybody thought it was going to be a nuclear war. I think it's also criticising politics at the same time, because everybody's so afraid of nuclear war that they're fully convinced it's going to happen. So loads of people commit suicide because they don't want to be nuked, for example, eating their tins of poison, but it's just an earthquake. Quite good twist. But I haven't even talked about the music yet. The song starts, you hear the wind blowing, it's instantly intriguing, and then you get this riff, you know, do 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 riff. Well, I don't know what you call it. Oh, it's just so powerful. It's so powerful. And then you get the do 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 do. So emotional, so melodic. I love it. I absolutely love it. And then when it kicks in and it gets heavy, it's just powerful. It's just, the song, in my opinion, is just raw emotion from start to finish. Easily Steve Harris's, in my opinion, best Iron Maiden song. Empire of the Clouds was written by Bruce. This one was solely credited to Steve Harris. Absolutely terrific song. Terrific. There's bits where it changes direction. I think the whole song, I don't think it changes time signature from start to finish. I think the whole song's in 4/4. Which is another reason why I prefer Empire of the Clouds, because there's a part in Empire of the Clouds that's in 15/8. There's a part that's in 7/4. So the Empire of the Clouds is, as I've got into prog rocks over the last 3 or 4 years, Empire of the Clouds appeals to me more now than When the Wind Blows does. But it is 11 minutes of raw emotion and power. It ends the way it starts, with a slow emotional bit, the wind blowing. It's just easily, in my opinion, one of the greatest songs of all time, and it was for 7 years my favourite song of all time. I actually didn't listen to it for over almost 5 years, because I feel like if I listen to a song or an album too much, then it loses its charm a wee bit. I'm sure everybody agrees. You know, you eat the same food too many times, you get bored of it. I didn't want to listen to it too long, and I think I went overboard, because I waited almost 5 years without listening to When the Wind Blows, because I thought, no, it's not the right time, it's not the right time. Finally listened to it, got teary-eyed, especially at the opening, and at the ending. But another really great part, and this is my brother's favourite part. He's not big into Iron Maiden, but the last heavy part of the song, right before the ending, the part that goes that part, he really likes that part. But it's just when it goes and then the wind comes in again, and then the guitar and the melodic slow bit from the opening comes in again, and then when he goes blows at the end and the wind just totally takes you off, it just leaves you, in my opinion, it just leaves you like, wow. It's one of those songs where you need to sit there for about 30 seconds to a minute, or even a couple of minutes when it's after it's finished, to absorb it. It's one of those songs, and very few songs can do that. To me, anyway. I'm sure everybody has their own songs they like that do that. But when the wind blows, for me, it's like I remember the first time I ever listened to it. I was only 14 at the time, but I sat there for about a good few minutes after it, just absorbing it, just feeling the song, just running it through my head. You know, it was just so emotional. I spent so long talking about it because it's just such a good song. Another great thing about the album is the track order. The track order is perfect. You've got the long ones at the end, and the second half. You've got the shorter ones at the first half of the album. When the Wind Blows had to be the last song on the album. There was no way any other song could be the last song. Again, Man Would Be King, fantastic penultimate song. It's just the track order is perfect. And another thing that makes an album great is the track order, because it creates the flow, it creates the way the album's personality comes out. And like the Dark Side of the Moon, for example, if you jumbled up the order of the Dark Side of the Moon, it wouldn't work, because the Dark Side of the Moon is so that order. You know, you can't think of it any other way, because it's just so the way it is. And I feel like that's another thing about the Final Frontier. Iron Maiden have always been good at picking great track orders, especially with their newer albums. And the Final Frontier, the track order is perfect, absolutely perfect. All 10 songs are exactly where they should be. When the Wind Blows, perfect ending to the album. Wow, it's a really long video. Spent so long talking about it. Sorry if I bored you. So yeah, that's the Final Frontier. Next, I promise I will definitely talk about a prog album next. Again, looking at my CD collection, if I ever turn and look here, I don't know which one I'll do yet. I guess we'll see. Thanks for watching. This has been Iron Maiden, The Final Frontier, my review of it. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.